Your new wife won't let your son walk. The homeless black boy revealed her dark secret. The park was quiet, the kind of late afternoon where the air seemed to hum with calm. Families picnicked in the distance. Children's laughter floated over the grass, and the leaves whispered in a gentle breeze. Thomas Whitaker, dressed in a pressed brown suit that clung to his frame like armor, pushed his son Daniel's wheelchair along the paved path. His life had been built on order, on things looking right, on appearances that spoke of success and stability, but none of that mattered when he looked down at his little boy. Daniel, only 7 years old, sat stiff in the chair. His small hands clutched the armrests. His pale face framed by neatly combed blonde hair, his big blue eyes clouded with something Thomas could never quite name. Fear? Resignation? He had not taken a single step in nearly a year, not since Thomas's new wife insisted he was too weak, that any attempt could cause him harm. Doctors ran tests, specialists whispered theories, but none gave Thomas the certainty he craved. And so Thomas obeyed his wife's warnings, convincing himself she must know best. But then came the boy. He stepped out from behind the trees like a shadow brought to life. Dark-skinned, wiry, no older than Daniel, his orange shirt torn and stained, the fabric stiff with dried blood and dirt. His shorts were too big, his shoes mismatched and broken at the soles. Yet his presence was sharp, undeniable, like a match struck in the middle of calm. His eyes, dark, burning, filled with a knowledge that seemed too heavy for a child, locked onto Thomas. "You don't know the truth," the boy said, his voice both fragile and fierce, trembling as though he was fighting to push the words out. His hand shot out, a finger pointing at Daniel, at the wheelchair, at the man behind it. "Your new wife won't let your son walk." Thomas froze mid-step. The words struck with the weight of thunder. He felt his chest tighten, his heartbeat drum in his ears. He looked at Daniel, whose lips parted in a sharp gasp. The boy in the chair looked suddenly smaller, more breakable, as though the air itself had been sucked away. What did you just say?" Thomas's voice cracked, a man known for commanding boardrooms suddenly reduced to raw disbelief. The homeless boy didn't flinch. His hands balled into fists at his sides, his jaw set. He looked straight at Thomas, then at Daniel, his voice rising with each word, carrying not just accusation, but pain. "She keeps you from walking. She tells you you're weak. She lies to you both. She doesn't want him to get better." Daniel's small fingers gripped the armrest tighter, knuckles white. "Dad," he whispered, his voice trembling, his eyes darting between the boy and his father. "What does he mean?" Thomas felt the ground sway beneath him. He swallowed hard, his throat dry, his thoughts racing. This was nonsense. It had to be. A homeless child, filthy, bruised, standing in a public park, daring to accuse his wife of something so monstrous. And yet, Thomas couldn't shake the way Daniel's eyes lit with something between fear and recognition. The boy took a shaky step closer, his stained shirt clinging to his small chest. "I saw her," he said, his voice breaking now. "I saw her when she thought nobody was watching. She told your son, he could never walk again. And he believed her, because she makes him believe." Thomas's breath hitched. The world narrowed around him. This boy was no beggar, no con artist playing a trick. His words cut too deep, too precise. Daniel's small voice cracked through the silence. "Dad, is it true? Am I really not sick?" Thomas felt his knees weaken. His carefully constructed world, his marriage, his choices, his blind trust, suddenly seemed fragile as glass. He wanted to deny it, to shield his son from the weight of this truth, but the boy's eyes, the homeless boy's eyes, wouldn't let him look away. "Who are you?" Thomas finally demanded, his voice hoarse, desperate, his hand tightening on the wheelchair. The boy's face hardened, and yet his eyes glistened as though the truth he carried was breaking him apart inside. He stood his ground, bloodied shirt trembling in the wind, his chest heaving with each breath. "I'm the one who knows what she's doing," he said, "and I won't let her keep lying to you." The homeless boy's words echoed like a hammer inside his skull. "Your new wife won't let your son walk." Daniel shifted nervously in the chair. His small voice broke through the tension. "Dad, he's lying, right? Mom she wouldn't do that." But his voice wavered, and Thomas noticed it now. The way his son's blue eyes darted, not with disbelief, but with fear, as though deep inside Daniel already suspected the truth. The boy clenched his fists, his voice rising again, anger mixing with despair. "She tells him every day he can't do it. She makes him believe his legs are broken when they're not. I saw her push the wheelchair closer to the window so the neighbors would see, so everyone would think he was helpless." His voice cracked as tears welled up in his dark eyes. "I saw her grab his shoulders and whisper to him that he'd never walk again, and he believed her because she said it like she loved him." Thomas's mouth went dry. The words clawed at his chest, but his mind fought them, desperate to reject. Impossible, surely impossible. He forced himself to speak, his voice raw. "How do you know? Who are you to say these things about my wife?" The boy's thin chest rose and fell. His shirt, once orange, was now stained dark with old blood, sticking to his ribs. He raised his chin, defiant despite his trembling. "Because I lived with her before you married her. She was my foster mother." Thomas's heart lurched. The boy's words tumbled out now like floodwaters breaking free. "She took me in from the shelter when I was small. Everyone thought she was kind, but she wasn't. She only wanted someone to control. She told me I was worthless, that I couldn't learn, couldn't run, couldn't be like other kids. She kept me hungry sometimes, told me it was my fault when she got angry. She said I should be grateful because no one else wanted me. And when I tried to run, she hurt me." He gestured at his torn shirt, the scars faintly visible beneath. His voice trembled but carried a piercing weight. "That's why I know. She doesn't want him to walk, because if he walks, people will stop feeling sorry for her. If he walks, she won't be needed. She keeps him small so she can feel big." Thomas staggered back a step, his knees weak. His stomach twisted as fragments of memory replayed in his head. The way his wife's voice grew sharp whenever Daniel tried to push himself up, how she would rush to stop him, insisting his bones were fragile. The way she hovered, overprotective to the point of suffocation, silencing any doctor who dared to suggest therapy. The way she isolated him from friends, insisting the world was too dangerous. Thomas had thought it was love. Now it looked like something else entirely. Daniel's face turned pale as his lips trembled. His small voice, nearly a whisper, cut Thomas deeper than any accusation. "Dad, I can walk?" The homeless boy nodded, tears streaking his face. "Yes, you just don't believe you can, because she won't let you." The silence that followed was unbearable. Thomas's hand shook as he crouched beside his son's chair. "Daniel," he whispered, his throat closing around the words, "You can try. Not for her, for yourself, for us." Daniel's hands trembled as they loosened from the armrest. His breath came shallow, fast. Slowly, he pressed his palms against the chair, shifting forward. His thin legs quivered as though they had forgotten their purpose. Thomas steadied him, eyes burning, while the homeless boy stood rigid, every muscle taut with anticipation. "Come on, son," Thomas urged, his voice raw. "One step." Daniel's foot lowered to the grass. His knee wobbled, his body shook, but he didn't fall. His other foot followed, landing unsteady but sure. Gasps escaped him, Thomas, and even the boy standing before them. Daniel's lips parted in shock. "Dad, I'm standing." Thomas's chest heaved, his eyes filling with tears he could no longer hold back. He pulled his son into his arms, laughter and sobs spilling out at once. The boy in rags stood a few feet away, his dirty face streaked with tears of his own, watching silently, like someone witnessing a miracle he had longed for, but never believed he'd see. Thomas turned to him, voice thick. "You saved him. You saved us. I don't even know your name." The boy hesitated, then spoke softly. "Marcus." Thomas nodded firmly. "Marcus, you're not going back to the street. Not after this. You're coming home with us?" Marcus's lips quivered, his eyes wide, torn between disbelief and a desperate, fragile hope. For the first time in a long time, someone had not only heard him, but believed him. As Daniel clung to his father, standing on his own two legs, Thomas knew everything had changed. His wife's secret was shattered, her power broken. The truth had come from the most unlikely place. A homeless boy with nothing but courage and scars. And Thomas vowed right there beneath the wide open sky that neither his son nor Marcus would ever be silenced again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.